Salute. The streets are buzzing. New York Knicks advance to the Vegas dance. We here, ladies and gentlemen. It's our time. As the Knicks advance to the final of the NBA Cup in Vegas, where they'll face the winner of OKC or the Spurs, defeating the Magic tonight, man, in an offensive onslaught. Gritty performances abound, and our heroes, fam, are going to compete for the championship in Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, let's break it all down. Great performance from Jalen Brunson and co. As Cat put in a dominant performance, man. We've got a great contribution from Wingstop. Defensively, Mitchell Robinson was big time. Josh Hart, Tyler Kolek. A lot of her heroes tonight, man. And our New York Knicks fam will get a chance to hang a banner, right, on Tuesday as they face the winner of the Spurs or the Thunder, fam. We are hyped in this one. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Man, what a tough performance. Lots of highlights to relive, but credit to the Magic, man. They're a tough opponent. Physically, you know, obviously this was a battle, as we see Cat, man, with the and one late. So many big swing plays, man. The Knicks got up 10, and then the Magic just didn't go away. The Knicks defense was a little sloppy. Obviously, it was a free-flowing, fast-paced game. Both teams obviously backed their offensive talents to blow this one away, but it was end-to-end, back and forth, man. And OG Anunoby hit a big three when the Knicks were down 4, right, after giving up the lead, right? And I was starting to get a little worried, but Cat hit a big three here as well. There was some huge swing plays in this one, man. I thought Tyler Kolek has arrived well and truly now, fam. Tyler Nash, we call him. Chris Gotti, Tendrell, Shez V, Johnny Chiba, Geraldine, David. What's good, everyone? Saturday night, the feeling is right, and we are going to be in a competitive final for the first time since 93-94. Yes, it's the Vegas dance, but we'll take it, fam. It's a trophy, and you want to win, man, as a competitor and as a team. As this NBA Cup gathers more steam and momentum, man, the crowd was great tonight. Brunson MVP chants late. They were reliving all the, riding and dying with every single swing play. Big blocks from Mitch. Big slams from OG and Cat. Big dimes from Tyler Kolek. Big rebounds from Josh Hart. And big buckets from Jalen Brunson, fam. Everything's bigger in Vegas, they say, ladies and gentlemen, man. And the stakes were very high. Playoff-type atmosphere. Playoff-type feel. Kind of on the road, but not on the road. Without a hostile crowd. Both teams learning to deal with the atmosphere. And early, I think the Knicks had an excellent start to the game. Excellent second quarter. Got a little sloppy in the third. Came out slow, I think, after halftime. But our New York Knicks really gritted their teeth after going down. And like I said, I think big defensive plays from OG and buckets too. OG was absolutely phenomenal, fam. But obviously the major story is we are headed to the Vegas dance, right? And the chat's loving the performance, man. Grittiness. AJ says, take that, Orlando. Yep. Salute to everyone in the building. I know everyone's kind of got the YouTube handles going right now. The YouTube usernames have switched up, right? So apologies if I can't recognize some familiar faces. Obviously, let us know as well. If you are new, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button as well, fam. Obviously, the game ball goes to Jalen Brunson, man. 40-point performance. And we're going to talk about his heroics in this one. 16 of 27, 2 of 5 from downtown, 6 of 9 from the free throw line, +3, 40 points with 8 dimes. Jalen Brunson, man, leading the troops in this one once again after a phenomenal quarterfinal in Toronto. And Brunson is well and truly clicking, man, in these, elimination games. That's when Brunson plays his best ball, fam. Chancellor says to the cup, so good mentally for this team to beat the Magic too. Johnny Chiba says, CT, I've been waiting over a year for Kolek to play, right, with the starting five. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yeah, great shouts to you guys. Marvin in the building says it felt like the playoffs too. Yep. 3-point ball from Sonny says, yeah, we're struggling tonight. Our threes only got 20 up, and we do struggle with some of the threes against the Magic, right? So, yeah, that was great to still get the win, facing that. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson, one of his biggest plays of tonight, man. I thought he was out of this play, right? Look at him shuffle his feet, right? Is Mitch starting to get back to the best version of Mitch, fam, in these meaningful games, fam? A lot of y'all have been talking about Mitch showing up in the playoffs last season. Well, this was a playoff type game, man. This is for cash. This is for a trophy. And I thought every single player played like it, whether they played great or, elite. Obviously a sloppy performance from Yabusele and Clarkson will do the grades, but every player kind of played like there was pressure. The stakes were higher in this one, as every single Nick and assistant coach will pocket 212 grand, fam, just to get through to the final now with a chance to get 500 grand, ladies and gentlemen. And it's all in Vegas, fam, as we high roll to the final dance, ladies and gentlemen. I want SGA. Who do y'all want? As we'll keep you up to speed with the other semi-final that's kicking off right now between the Spurs. Wemby, I think I think he's back. I think he's healthy and going to play in this one. And obviously SGA and the Thunder too, right? If we do face the Thunder, let me tell you why that could be a sneaky positive, because obviously the championship is the biggest picture. And if we get to face the Thunder an extra time, that's preparation, in my opinion. Not getting too far ahead. But if we were to get to the finals, most likely it is going to be OKC. And currently we know we're only going to play OKC 2 times. One home, one away. I think it's going to be nice if we do get the Thunder for that third time in order to scout, experiment, try a couple of things, as Jalen Brunson put Anthony Black on his, caboose in Vegas. Man, what a move from JB. They say put size on JB. Well, that's what happens. If you know, you know, too. 132 points with 7 threes, man. It was an entertaining game, Sonny. And I felt like the Knicks locked down when they needed to. Yes, defensively, we've still got ways to go, man. There's still a lot of improvements. Mitch still ain't playing, a lot of minutes, but wing stop. I mean, when OG's healthy, man, we know he's missed one of those Orlando losses, and you got to see how much of a difference it is with OG Anunoby out there, fam. Not only offensively, but mostly defensively, man. His size is so much needed against Orlando, right? Now, honourable shout out to Deuce McBride, looking like he's dealing with a high ankle sprain, and he's going to be reevaluated in about a week, right? So the Knicks did all this without Deuce McBride, but obviously no Franz Wagner for Orlando. Both players so important, I think, for both teams, and I think the Knicks were lacking a little bit off the bench. Obviously, we'll take a look at the box score, continue to look at these highlights and shout you guys out, and we will preview the final and get our predictions as we follow the other semi-final. But I thought Clarkson was so sloppy, man. He was frustrating me early in this one, in the second quarter, and then Mike Brown did limit his minutes. Mitchell Robinson played 17 minutes. He was great defensively with 9 rebounds, 4 offensive as well. Hit one of his 2 free throws. So hopefully Mitch can knock down more free throws. But Tyler Kolek, one of the major talking points out of this one, guys. 2 of 3 in 15 minutes, plus 18, man. Team high. Johnny Chiba been waiting. A lot of us been waiting. Tyler Kolek is showing that it was well worth the wait. Because assist 4, 3 rebounds. He got that key steal as well, which we're going to take a look at. And Tyler Kolek had his imprints all over this ball game, ladies and gentlemen, man. He had 2 dimes in 2 seconds, along with the steal on the inbound. Such a heady player, fam. We're kind of a lot of people talked about Tyler Kolek, lack of defense, lack of athleticism and size. Well, I think as a team, and I've kind of been preaching this for a while, guys, we need more high IQ players as well. A lot of people don't talk about high IQ players. They'll only talk about wingspan, height, athleticism, defense. You need high IQ. And if your head's always in the game, knows where the players be, makes the right pass, looks confident with the dribble now, looks stronger, and obviously Tyler Kolek got that high IQ, you know, out of Marquette. That's his game. He can read the floor well. And once the body and the, caught up to the speed of the game, I think Tyler Kolek was always going to be a long-time NBA pro. Now, credit to the coaching staff working with him. He's had a huge summer as Tyler Kolek. And obviously a lot of news been, going around the trade wins with potential Dante DiVincenzo reunion, a possible Jose Alvarado homecoming. We're obviously going to talk more about Tyler Kolek because he deserves that tonight, man. He's a New York Knick, and hopefully he's here to stay. Now, obviously, there are some other upgrades we can make off the bench. I think there's a buyout situation to monitor as well, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. As in the chat, CT, do you think these are Yabu's final days? I wouldn't say final days, but I think, the clock is ticking. You definitely got to, pay a close attention to what's going on with the rotation minutes. Now, Yabu's been a major letdown. Obviously we talked a little bit about Clarkson. Yabu's got skill set. His salary's friendly. It could be moved in a bigger trade or a smaller trade. But I think if we do swap out Yabu, fam, we must get more size. We can't afford to lose a guy and get smaller. Lose a guy with some size like Yabu and get smaller. As much as Yabu's struggling, I would be okay swapping him out, but as long as we're getting in someone else with more size, we'll obviously closely monitor that too, fam. As the NBA trade season officially going to kick off next week on December 15, ladies and gentlemen. Elliot Salute says Kolek doing his thing. Mark says, what happened to Clarkson's game? Yeah, look, I think a little bit of everything tonight. The game was sped up quick, and Clarkson kind of has that jitterbug, when he starts to glitch, reacting to the speed. And also, I just think the nerves. Clarkson been playing for a losing franchise for many years, and this is one of the probably the most meaningful game he's played in a minute. Since the playoffs with the Jazz years ago, as well. Johnny Chiba says, CT, would you trade Deuce for Devo? Look, I would prefer not to, but I'd be okay if Leon Rose felt like DiVincenzo is the right play. To me, it's more of a sideways step. So for me, I'd probably lean towards a no. I would just keep Deuce McBride at the minute, but I'll try to find a way to get Devo with some other players like Clarkson and Yabu. Obviously, we've got to match the salary, and I would not move Mitch either. I see a lot of people talking about, possibly including Mitch to get to the salary of the Devo, 11 million, or closer to 12 million. Unfortunately, Yabusele, Kolek, and Dardier does not reach the salary threshold. So it would need to be Shamet or it would need to be Clarkson with Yabu. Right, either or I'd be okay with to get a DiVincenzo back. Reports, Chris Persianen of Clutch Points has reported during the week that the Minnesota Timberwolves have some interest in the Washington protected first pick that the Knicks currently have. And I see a lot of people say, look, that ain't going to be that ain't going to be much of a pick. But in a situation where, the salary cap, the second apron, that is projected to be 2 good second round picks, like possibly the best second round pick, which is the 31st pick with no first round contract guarantee. So that is still a good asset to have. But I tell you who else is a good asset, this man on screen, Kolek, getting into the paint, fam, with a nice little leaner as well. Look, Kolek is looking a lot quicker off the dribble. That's what I'm noticing, fam. What are y'all noticing the most about this renaissance from Clarkson? P Sway says, yeah, get Yabu Clarkson out of here. Trade upgrades incoming. Hashtag. Look, yeah, I'm loving our squad and let's win this Vegas chip. But we got to make some upgrades. I see Sadiq Bey's name in the chat. Yeah. I like Ao Desunmu. That could be a name had. He's on 7 million. But yeah, most of us on the same page. Either get Jose Alvarado, which is going to be a lot easier to get, 4.5 million. You are going to be able to get him in trading some of the fringe players. But also, some players with extra size. You've got guys like Ao Desunmu out here. I wouldn't mind taking a look at Najee Marshall as well. And I think, look, man, if we can get one more perimeter wing defender, and even if that is Dante DiVincenzo, man, we are definitely getting stronger. And one of the reasons I would be very, very hesitant moving on from anyone other than Yabu, Clarkson or Dardier, is because obviously, one, Kolek is showing he belongs, And the second reason is obviously Mitch is so important, but the buyout market. I don't know if we need to necessarily make a trade that might, hurt the team's chemistry outside of a buyout signing. We don't know. There could be a really nice veteran that does get bought out. But so far, yeah, the starting five, elite, Josh Hart. Man, what can we say about Hart and his season as we pull up the grades in this one, man? Brunson with a savage. And I think for the first time, I'm giving out 6 standout performers, man, from Mitch, Kolek, Cat, Macau, Hart, and OG Anunoby. So 6 standouts, savage performance from Brunson, and a sloppy from Clarkson and Yabu, right? As our Knicks are making waves in Vegas, we get 2 days rest now, too. So that's big time, too, fam. And today also count for the standings, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we're going to refresh the standing, but I think the Knicks will move to 18-7, and only the NBA Cup final now is an extra game. So literally, we're only playing one more game, which is the final, right? For the chance to hang a banner and lift a trophy, fam. The Knicks trophy cabinet been dusty for a minute. Hopefully, we get to add some silverware, hardware to this thing. Building blocks, says Devo, would cost us too much to reacquire it. Yep, definitely. It is going to be tricky. Jose G, salute. 100%. A big 3 tonight. JB, Cat, OG, Ball and Hart bringing his heart every night. The whole squad did good. Tyler Kolek was dishing. Man. Tyler Kolek had a great summer and it's really showing. He's really taken that next step, right? But what about Mikal Bridges' season, man? What a dime to Cat. Mikal Bridges handling the ball, I think, has been excellent addition to Mike Brown's offense because, look, Brunson taking a step back while Mikal Bridges makes some plays as well. Mr. Iron Man has not missed a game. Not only that, but he's stepped his play up in a major way. His number 25, Mikal Bridges, he's doing it all, literally, right? And what a performance from him and Cat rolling hard to the basket. Yeah. These guys played like they wanted it, right? So you got to tip your cap to this NBA Cup situation because it's got the players for whatever reason, right? Who cares whether it's the money, the accolade, or just wanting to help out their team, earn some extra cash and make a splash, right? These guys are taking it more serious, like, and it's kind of like a little playoff tournament preview, right? And our big game Knicks, right, came to play in this one. Now they dealt with adversity. Let's talk about that. Going down by 4, I was thinking, man, not again. That third quarter was sloppy, right? And I thought a lot of that happened with Hart off the floor. As we take a look at the plus minus, right? Josh Hart finished with 12 points, 3 steals and a block, 6 assists, but was a -1 in 31 minutes. Right, OG plus 14 in 40 minutes, fam. Rolled his ankle earlier in the game, but didn't look affected. Right, he battled through that, did OG. Also got 3 steals and a block. Right, and Mikal Bridges unusually didn't have a steal or a block. Right, But between Hart and OG Anunoby, man, those guys had 8 stocks combined, 3 steals and a block apiece, right? Mikal Bridges, right, only put up 1 3. So that is a work in progress. With the speed, like you guys said, we've got to find a way to get more threes up against Orlando. But we were attacking the paint, ladies and gentlemen. And as we bring up the stats, the shot chart is absolutely crazy in this one, man. 132 points, an offensive onslaught, right? Our points in the paint. The New York Knicks won the edge, 70 points in the paint. That is an absolute bully ball display, right? Magic got some second chance points, but the Knicks won the fast break points as well in a track meet, right? Who would have thought, guys, watching last year's team with Tibbs, that we could outduel a fast-paced team in a track meet? And it's the subtle tweaks that Mike Brown has implemented. Obviously, playing Cat at the 5 a little bit more still, but multiple guards out on the floor as well. Getting Mikal Bridges and Hart pushing the break anytime they rebound. The insertion of Tyler Kolek, who loves to push the break as well. I mean, we're out fast breaking a fast paced team. Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black as well. So what a standout season so far from the first year head coach Mike Brown with the Knicks. Give Mike Brown his flowers, right? Let us know how you're feeling about Mike Brown in this one. Johnny Chiba says, I agree with the grade, CT. It was a team win led by Cap 40 spot. It just seems so effortless from Cap, Yes, there's still that isolation, but there's a lot of player movement, cutting. Keith Smith, who covers the league in Spotrac, talked about what he noticed is the difference between OG and Mikal cutting is the big difference that he's noticing as well. So that's big time from Mike Brown, getting more player movement as well. And look, the threes will come. Orlando do got a lot of size and length, but I don't think they played their best game. I think their best game was obviously the game they beat us, but we did not have OG Anunoby in this one. Think about with Deuce McBride in this lineup as well, fam, or a DiVincenzo to add to that, or a Jose Alvarado, right? Look, if the Knicks can add a Jose Alvarado and a Dante DiVincenzo, I think those guys would fit like glove on this squad because they can get after it defensively too. They're physical, they can guard the perimeter, and they're solid offensively too. Jose Alvarado can give you 10 to 15 points. He's not an offensive, minus. He's solid. Now, what a dime, what a feed from Cat in this one. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with Mikal Bridges, right? Running Anthony Black off the line with that one around the curl and Cat holding onto the ball. I thought they are expressing patience and not just throwing the ball away. Our turnovers are down from last season, believe it or not. The Knicks Times salute says Knicks are starting to figure things out. You don't always got to bomb those threes. The mid-range is back, and it's lethal. Great comment too. The Knicks Time, as I pull up the shot chart. I mean, look at this. Only 7 threes made, but I mean, like it was a killer in the paint. 40 points in the paint. My goodness. Couple of nice corner threes. But yeah, like it just seems like 132 points is a given now. 125. Deuce McBride's 3-point ball would add a lot as well. So hopefully he can get back real soon. Starting 5 plus Michi did their thing. Can't wait to play OKC. See where we are at. See what we need. Yep, great comment too. 100%. Look, I think OKC obviously they're strong and they've had a great season. They've taken advantage of a softer schedule, but this notion that the Knicks don't have a chance is way off. I think OKC, man, they could be got at, no doubt about it. My game plan against OKC, I'll share that right now. Not to say it's going to be easy, but I think a way for the Knicks team to beat OKC is to limit the role players. You know, let SGA slow it down. Let him, dominate. Let him dominate the ball. Right? You want to slow down Chet. You want to slow down, Williams, and don't let the shooters get off. Right? Keep everyone else in check. I don't care if Shea goes off for 40, 45. I think that would play into the Knicks' hands. Right? As long as he's not going to the foul line. But if you continuously make Shea work all game long and hit difficult shots, it's kind of throwing everyone else out of rhythm. The moment they're sharing the ball and they're playing fast and everyone's getting loose, that's when OKC become a juggernaut, in my opinion. So I know it may not sound like a genius plan, but I think the best way to beat the Thunder is to let SGA, dominate the basketball and keep everyone else in check. Like, focus on everyone else and let him, be more disruptive, right? Now, the difference is with Brunson, right? I do think Jalen Brunson obviously got that pull-up three, but he's been so much more of a willing, passer this season, and especially in the open court, right? And look, defensively, I think JB has definitely stepped it up this season from last season, right? So let's take an early look at the game between the Thunder and the Spurs, right? Okay, it is yet to tip. That is going to tip off in about 15 minutes. So we'll keep everyone up to date, right? But I do think it is going to be OKC, right? They look locked in. Mark says it's a big test if we get OKC, no doubt. But it's kind of like a free hit. I know we want to win that chip, and we've made the final now, and it's going to be a great atmosphere, fam. It's going to be lit. The team gets a couple of days off to definitely game plan and scheme, right, during this break of a season, right? And it also is good for the younger players, the Koleks and these guys, right? Let's see if Mike Brown got a trick up his sleeve. He might even deploy a Diawara in the role of Yabu against OKC, because I think OKC is going to be a bad matchup for Yabusele, possibly Clarkson as well, with the extra size of Diawara. That could be a look, right? Let us know how you would approach the OKC game, fam, and we shout it out, right? Now, Dink Pate, 26 points, 11 of 22 field goals, 4 of 9 from 3, 9 rebounds and 5 assists, right? Yesterday in Westchester, 26 points, right? 4 of 9 from downtown, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, man. He's starting to cook. He's definitely starting to cook in the G League, right? So I would definitely try to free up some space to get a Dink paid in at 6'8", right? Yeah, user says Diawara might get those Yabu minutes. Why is Yabu struggling so bad? I think the speed. I think the speed of the game, fam. We're moving at a breakneck speed. You see tonight Yabu got caught backdoor, and look, I ain't even worried about Yabusele offensively. I think he will get it together, and he does hit some threes, which is valuable. I think the Yabu's biggest struggle is on the defensive end. He's borderline unplayable right now, fam. And look, as we turn our attention to the wider news, continue to relive tonight and shout you guys out as the Knicks will be in a competitive final, man, for the first time since 93-94 and just the third season of the NBA Cup, fam. If we can win the NBA Cup, right, and win the final, we'll be the most successful team in this, short era of the competition. We've made the knockout round every season, and if we also win the trophy, we'll be the most, successful team in this competition right now. Right, the trade season's going to be popping off next week as well. Shez V says, yes, let's see some Dink. So Huck Porty deserves some minutes as well. Now, he had a great game in Westchester too. And I really don't know what the plan is for Leon Rose and co, but I do think he's going to make, he's going to make moves. It could be a couple of trades. Obviously, you want to free up some spots for a potential buyout too. So it could be a 2-for-1. Could be like a Dardier, Dardier and Yabusele making way for an Alvarado. Now I know I said we need extra size, guys, but with that said, I would trade those two for Alvarado because it frees up a spot, and then you could add some size, right? I think that the thing is we want to try to free up some salary and free up some spots so that we could either add Dink Pate on a spot or someone else and add a two-way for Dink Pate, right? But with Trey Jemison here, Huck Porty, Mitch, if Mitch hopefully does stick around, then we still have our major big man rotation too. I just don't see Yabusele keeping up with the pace, the pace that we want to play at, too, unless it's very short spurts. It's going to have to be 2-3 minutes in and out because he was getting beaten backdoor and some. Simon says Sadiq Bey for Yabu. I don't think the salaries are going to match, but I would welcome Sadiq Bey. He's a guy who, would really fit the mold, offensively, defensively as well, right? But Cat, right? He's really stepped his game up as of late, right? We're seeing less out of control, less turnovers, less of those offensive follies, too. So big up to Cat. I think over the last week or two, coincidentally, since the Giannis trade buzz really started to pop off a lot more, we're seeing Cat locked in at another level, and we've seen him have some amazing performances in the past, right? Super chat come through from my guy, Michael. Great to see you in the building. Got the streets buzzing. Kolek is slowly starting to give an edge to this bench, right? This is the gritty New York that I remember. Guys that play with that edge. Keep an eye on K. 100%. You said it. I love that comment and appreciate y'all for the super chat. Always got us buzzing, Michael. I tweeted this out during the game. I said Kolek really showed us that dog. He's definitely got some dog to him. And whatever happened in the summer, and maybe it took a underwhelming summer league to really light a fire up under his what. Sometimes we can get a little bit too comfortable. But also, I said this, earlier in the season, it could just be a case of second year breakout, Most rookies don't be that very impactful, in their rookie season. Even if you are a top 5 pick, most rookies don't come in and impact winning. But the second season or the third season is when most first round picks break out. And I think it took Kolek, look, obviously Tibbs had a hand in his first year in the league, didn't give him many minutes, but I'm sure being extra tough on Kolek did, really push him to work harder, push him to realize what it's going to take to stick around in the NBA and how tough it can be. Because also, you get drafted to a team that finishes second in the conference and gets to the Eastern Conference Finals. Most rookies get drafted, into a losing situation. So that speaks to Kolek's mindset. That speaks to his work ethic as well, that he stuck with it. Because there was a very low points, man. There was super low points where, a lot of people either gave up on Kolek. Other players in Kolek's situation may have just given up in terms of not future NBA career, but with the Knicks, maybe it would have been a situation where it's like, okay, it just ain't going to work for me here, and talk to his agent about, trying to find somewhere else to get an opportunity. And let's not forget about preseason, right before the Knicks headed to Abu Dhabi, before preseason kicked off, there was heavy buzz about, one of these young fellas getting traded to make way for, Malcolm Brogdon. And we all know what happened after that. But Kolek just stuck with it, and he took his chance once the roster got finalized. And ever since then, Mike Brown been slowly trusting him more, and then upping the minutes and upping the spots in big games. The big spots. But like Michael says, man, with the super chat contribution, says, Kolek definitely starting to show that edge. Keep an eye on him. And very, small shades of a Steve Nash with that dribble when he's coming around the pick. So he'll find you for the lob, or he'll hit the corner. He can hit the bounce pass with the roll man. I think he's going to become an elite, if not already an elite pick and roll point guard, is Tyler Kolek. Now, look, unfortunately, he ain't 6'3". If Tyler Kolek was blessed with 6'3" height, man, he could have been a lottery pick. Probably would have been a lottery pick, fam, if he could just be a plus on the defensive side. But I'll take it for what he is right now, man. He's showing us something, and he's improving every day. And obviously, playing alongside and practicing with Brunson is definitely going to push you to improving. Mr. Nixon says that Kolek steal and assist play was awesome. Love seeing him get those minutes and make an impact. Yeah, it just goes to show, man, that player was there last season. Tibbs just needed to trust him a lot more in the reg season. Now, I know we had Campaign. Campaign had some moments, but we all know that Campaign was very inconsistent. And look, it's up to the front office and the coach to be, in collaboration, because we drafted Tyler Kolek, right? We spent a draft pick on him, and we went out and signed Campaign just to block the pathway of Kolek. Now, I know you need depth, but that's what good organizations do. They if they spend a draft pick on someone, that they make way. They make way for that draft pick. Otherwise, what's the point in drafting that player? They just lose value, and then you're going to have to, sell for 50 cents on the dollar, and lose out, or the player will get frustrated, like with Obi. Now, I ain't saying you've got to hit on every single draft pick, because it's not easy. But if you are investing in a player, from the draft, at the very least, you need to match that investment with some minutes, to see what they've got. See what they've got, fam, as well. So definitely this year, our depth is showing with Huck Porty capable. We've got guys like Kolek playing in big NBA Cup semifinals, meaningful games. Let's see what happens. Does Clarkson get moved? Right, he could have some value. Clarkson and Yabusele could get us an Alvarado back, and then frees up a spot. Don't forget, we've got Demon, Landry, Shamet, and Deuce McBride to come back as well, fam. So, how y'all feeling about the Dante DiVincenzo talk? Now that I say that Deuce McBride and Shamet's going to return, if we were to get DiVincenzo, I think we'd have to trade 2 other players, because it's going to be a log jam. I want to see Diawara get some meaningful minutes as well, fam. Now, we played at a breakneck pace. We had 12 turnovers tonight, so that's solid. That's solid for 48 minutes. I think last season we had a lot of 17, a lot of 15 turnover games, and we played at a slower pace. So that does preach to the point guard play, fam. As I pull up the box score in this one, I want to see who had the turnovers. Right, Hart had 3 turnovers. OG had 4. Brunson only had 2 turnovers for 8 dimes, and Kolek had 1 turnover only. So between our 2 point guards, Brunson and Kolek, just 3 turnovers combined from the 2 point guards, right? And obviously the assists, we had 28 assists, so we almost hit the 30 assist too. And we're obviously going to get the reactions from the guys in that locker room as we'll follow the next NBA Cup semi-final. I hope OKC can get through. Mark says we have to get Clarkson going. His defense is horrible. I think, defensively, he's never been known to be, great on that side. But offensively is where he's really making me uneasy. He's always leaning when he's shooting, and he's hesitating, and he's pump faking too much, fam. His pump faking's, out of control. But I do like the fact that he can drive. Clarkson can drive and he can get to the rack. The 3-point ball has been super sketchy with this one. Elliot says also Kolek has slowly and surely blossomed into a decent off-ball defender as well. Yeah, great point. I think, and I made the point earlier last season, as long as Kolek can get physically stronger, I think that'll help him a lot in this game. And I think it's clearer to see that Kolek has got stronger physically. Upper body wise, I think he's able to fight through some picks. Now, if he can just get that 3 ball popping, I noticed he took a great 3, and I was like, yes, that's the kind of great 3 that I want Tyler Kolek taking. The guy went, dropped under the screen and gave Kolek a lot of space, and he had a wide open 3, and he took it. I like that. You got to stay aggressive when you're out there. And speaking of aggressive, man, Karl Anthony Towns took the aggression to the next level in this one, but he's cut back on that silly foul, right, as well. So, all in all, man, what a season it's been so far. We are, 18-7? I'm going to refresh the standings right now and see whether or not, yes, they have updated. So, let's pull this up now. As today, if y'all don't know already, today counted for the regular season standings. So, we only play one extra game, which is the final, right, on next Tuesday. We moved to 5 games, winning streak, 9-1 in the last 10. And I believe this game will count as an away game, or should count as an away game. But we are rolling right now, just 2 games back of the top seed, and are 18-7, right? A winning percentage of 720. Man, I would have taken that to start the season in a major way. Michael says, CT, you can clearly see the Knicks making adjustments to their system for Mike Brown, less spray threes, more mid-range. Yep, I think the cutting, like you said, I think everyone's expecting us to pull up from 3, and then a guy will cut last minute, and a guy's always keeping their heads up. And look, for the assists tonight, with Brunson with 8, Kolek diming as well. 4 dimes from Kolek, 8 dimes from JB, right? 12 assists combined with just 3 turnovers from our point guards, too. You've also got a pseudo point guard in Josh Hart with 3 assists. So 6 assists, 3 turnovers. So still a decent, 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. You hate to see the 3 turnovers, but 6 assists to 3 turnovers. That's still a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. OG Anunoby had 4 sloppy turnovers, but he forces it. Does, stay aggressive with his physicality, right? But Cat, 0 turnovers for Karl Anthony Towns, man. One of the players of the game, 29 points plus 12, right? I could arguably upgrade Cat's grade to a savage, and I probably should, because 0 turnovers from Cat is big time, right? And I'm going to do that. I'm going to upgrade Karl Anthony Towns, fam, to the special. And he was a savage in this one, man. Because, 0 turnovers for Karl Anthony Towns is big time. Chosen and Loving It says, I love Coach Brown's adjustment to stick with Kolek in that rotation. And you said it. I think, one thing about Brown, and he's talked about that a lot, is he's trusting the assistant coaches. He's trusting those guys to, add their input and also, make suggestions. And Mike Brown will listen. We know Tom Thibodeau didn't lean heavily on his assistants, last season. It showed, late adjustments in the playoffs where, the series was almost over, right? Now, we are a little bit small with the 3-guard lineups, but that plays to our strength. Look, getting up and down like this, beating the size of the Magic down the court. Fam, Wendell Carter was gassed, breathing heavily. And the slithery cut from Mikal Bridges, who made a lot of great cuts, leak outs, and beating everyone back down the court. See Kolek and the bench go crazy in this one, man. The vibes are super high with this squad now. Everyone's kind of locked in. And look, if the NBA Cup journey was to end at the final, every player gets that 212 grand, and it'll be another game against OKC or the Spurs, which will be a great test, considering we haven't played either of those teams yet, But the fact that tonight, I just realized, guys, tonight counts for the season series against the Magic, ladies and gentlemen. So we've played the Magic now 4 times. And if the Magic had beaten the Knicks, they would have got the edge. Now the season series is a lock at 2-2, right? The 2 wins, the New York Knicks had OG Anunoby in the lineup. One of the losses, the Knicks didn't have OG. So that just goes to show how important it is. And obviously Franz Wagner, though, missed tonight and missed most of the other game, right? So, but, injuries are part of the sport. I can't feel sorry for no team because injuries, we've dealt with that. Look at the last 2 playoffs. We would have beaten Indiana if we didn't have those injuries too. Jose G says, yeah, the Knicks didn't put up those 43s tonight and still won too. Still got the job done. I like it. As I pull up the shot chart once again, the offense is just pretty. You got Cat playmaking. You got the mid-range going as well. Kolek's even getting to the rack. He's getting 2 feet into the paint and getting the spray kick out or the layup too. Also, y'all notice a common theme as well. Less cardiac, right? Last year, every game was a cardiac affair. Now, look at the quarter by quarter, right? For the most part, not to say that every game is in control, but for the most part, we have either a 5 to 10 point double-digit lead, right? The Knicks look comfortable for most of tonight, considering, the Magic have given the Knicks some problems, right? Outside of that 3rd quarter, where they sort of came out slow, this game was in control pretty much until the end, right? And we know Orlando, they didn't shoot the ball well tonight. They're not a great 3-point shooting team, but, they still have some shooters that are capable. I think the Knicks got to clean up leaving up those corner threes from overhelping. Wendell Carter, Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs, they had a lot of open looks in this one, but they couldn't knock them down. And I think the Magic had their chance. But the Knicks got stops when they needed, and obviously with the blocks too. The New York Knicks finished with 7 blocks to Magic's 3. So that's the length and the size, on display. With that, Mitchie, shout out, man. His play tonight with the rebounding, the second chance points was phenomenal. Making Magic second guess, taking it to the rack. Michael Drake says Kolek's passing as a guard is incredible. Court vision, fam. High IQ. And he plays hard, too. He leaves it all out there. Also, I think I mentioned Campaign earlier tonight. I think I remember a quote, and I want to shout Campaign out, because Tyler Kolek actually, I think in an interview earlier this season or in the summer, I heard Tyler Kolek make a quote that, he listened and, he kind of leaned on Campaign as a veteran. Yes, the quote was something, and I'm paraphrasing, the quote was something about, when I get into the game, it could be for just a couple of minutes, and I want to make an impact immediately. If you're coming off the bench, you need to come straight in, right, and make an impact, right? Play at the right speed and make plays. And he said he learned a lot of that from Campaign. So, look, it is helpful for a young player to have those veterans around them. And I think obviously Kolek's developing because of the hard work, but the environment, playing with a Brunson, playing with a Deuce McBride. We know that Deuce has been very influential with Huck Porty and some of the younger guys, but Kolek's had some good point guards to really get with, and learn from, as well as the assistant coaching too. Johnny Chiba says, CT, I like Kat's running the show at the top of the key. Yeah, he's ready to make that pass if someone gets free, and his lead passes are excellent too. Yeah, I really think that's such an underrated part of Kat's game. We heard that on the broadcast tonight. Kat talked about that being a major underrated part, but I think patience is key as well. There was one major play, that bounce pass Kat made to Macau, right? I think maybe even last year, Kat would have forced it and tried to force a straight line drive and turned it over or something. But Kat actually held on to the basketball. He held the ball up high as he palmed, and he made the defender kind of, lull them to sleep. Let Macau Bridges run Anthony Black around, and then he made that nice bounce pass. So clearly Mike Brown's running some plays, but he's telling the guys to be patient, wait for the guy to cut, and then find him, right? Because all the attention is on Kat. He's got the basketball, but someone's going to lose their man if everyone starts cutting too. So could that be a staple of kind of the Golden State offense that Mike Brown has brought? The Golden State Sacramento offense of player movement that Mike Brown's been bringing so far to this squad, right? It ain't obviously full Golden State by any stretch, but it's definitely seeing some shades of that. Yeah, Mark appreciates that pass from Hart to Bridges too. A lot of skip passes, Friend of the show, Coach Nick of B-Ball Breakdown. We've talked to him for years about just playing faster doesn't mean you need to race the ball up the court. It means advance the ball up the court. You could do that by a skip pass. Couple of things that they're really bringing out in Jalen Brunson's game is that a couple of years ago he would force the dribble, through full court pressure. Remember Amen Thompson last year. Other guys, Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre in the playoffs the earlier season before last. And JB would spend like 8 seconds, fighting over the full court pressure just to get the ball up the court. We ain't having those problems right now because, one, they'll inbound it to someone else, not named Brunson, just to get the ball up and let Brunson, run up the court off the ball. But also, they will, employ the skip pass. Brunson will catch it. He'll just see someone in the corner and just throw it ahead. We all know that the pass is so much quicker than the dribble as well. So that's key too. And it doesn't allow the defense to get set as well. Once you make that quick skip pass, the defense can't get set like they can with Brunson slow walking it up. The Kolek steal really gave us great momentum, Johnny Chiba. Yeah, that was shades of Deuce. Elliot says the Knicks roster starting to gel. Credit to them because they haven't allowed any of this kind of trade talk to really affect them. I mean, Mitch has dealt with about, 7 trade deadlines, 6 to 7 trade deadlines, it seems, right? And he's still here, still balling. Hasn't got that extension, though. So he's playing hungry. And shout out to JB. He did find Mitch on that lob. And this is one of Clarkson's better plays tonight with the bounce pass to find Mitchie too. But Mitchie found good spots right here in the dunker spot. They lost him on that one too. I don't know what they're doing. Right. I think that was Jalen Suggs. No, Tristan Da Silva. He literally left Mitch wide open there. But yeah, Clarkson kept his dribble up too. That's the key. That was like a TJ McConnell kind of play. And Kolek's been kind of making a similar play as well. So yeah, 28 dimes? We didn't quite get to the 30, but still a marked improvement over last season, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to bring up some reaction from around the league and in that locker room, right? As we move to 18-7, right? Our New York Knicks are in the Vegas dance, right? But we defeat the Magic for 2 consecutive games now, which is going to give us a lot more confidence too. And look, if we play OKC tough, even if we don't get the win, I think that's still going to give this team a lot of confidence. You know, I back our wing stop to really give them problems too. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges playing at an all defensive level. It's not going to be easy for OKC or even the Spurs, fam, as that game is tipped off right now. I'm going to check the score, or it's set to tip off any second now. Always these delays on national TV. Kolek, yeah, starting the second quarter, part of that regular rotation, feeling more comfortable with the ball in his hands, says Johnny Chiba. Yeah, so that's something that I wasn't a fan of last season with Tibbs playing Brunson the entire first quarter. But I'm not mad at it this season because obviously I feel like Kolek's coming in and having a great impact straight away. And obviously Brunson's getting off to a great start, putting up like 12 to 15 points in the first quarter. And that's getting him going as well. And then you got Kolek, right, coming straight in. Right, so what a poster this is. OG Anunoby with Suggs in that backdrop. OG looking like Spree in this one. Mr. Nixon says, as I said earlier, Kolek is smart. Trading him this season would be a mistake. His upside is high. I would have to know what the trade is to say that it's a mistake, but there's obviously major pluses to keeping Kolek, fam, because of the salary. We're in a second apron, tough salary situation. He's under cost control. It looks like the front office hit on another draft pick that could potentially be Brunson's backup for the long haul. He's homegrown. He's got to learn the ropes playing in the Mecca. And what's there not to like? However, on the other side of the equation is he now has serious trade value, whereas before, if you're any other NBA team, you're like, okay, he was a good college player, but Thibodeau didn't play him. Now, if you're someone else in another front office, Kolek could be a real piece. So it's a double-edged sword, fam, in terms of what the go is with Kolek. But obviously I'm leaning way towards you got to keep him. You got to keep him now because the upside is clear. Now, obviously we could get defenders and more size via another position. And let's not forget, we do have other demons coming through. We got Diawara. We've got Kevin McCullough, who can't get a chance. Dardier, even to his credit, can't get a shot. And also Dink Pate. And then there's obviously the buyout route as well. So yeah, my early position on this is obviously Yabusele and Clarkson, the 2 off-season acquisitions, fam. Like, it makes sense to move those guys before anyone else, and Dardier, to that point. I do think Dardier, Clarkson, and Yabusele, if you can make upgrades in the way of like pesky perimeter defenders, Dante, Jose Alvarado, Javon Carter. I see some talk about Keon Ellis as well. I don't know what the story is with Trey Lyles. I would keep a lookout on Trey Lyles, fam, if Sacramento or whatever team that he's on, decides to let him be available. Because Mike Brown really likes Trey Lyles. He could be a power forward that could replace Yabusele and eat some minutes, ladies and gentlemen. But Kolek's been borderline revelation right now. We need to continue to give him that confidence, right? But shout out to the Cap also for leading and no doubt being a good mentor for these guys coming through at the point guard spot. Look at the improvement Deuce McBride has made. Yeah, G London says, let's remember too, Kolek got the biggest guaranteed contract for a second-round draft pick ever with the 4-year deal. And yeah, shout out to Leon and Tibbs. I do got to give Tibbs some credit for the drafting of Kolek. Now, I think Tibbs kind of, he was stuck in a tough situation last year because, look, Kolek just might not have been ready. But I do think Tibbs should have given him right for a long, long, long time, ladies and gentlemen. Chosen 11, it says, yeah, keep Kolek. He's locked in for that contract. Another 2 seasons, low cost, high upside. Yeah, great point. Low cost, high upside in this situation that we're in, right? So let's take a look at January now with the Knicks cruising at 18-7, right? So we get to stay in Vegas, 2 days off. We play the final on Tuesday. We get Wednesday off as well. And then we enter a storm, fam, with Indiana, Philly back to back, Miami, Minnesota, Cleveland, ATL, Pelicans, Spurs. In my opinion, this is the toughest stretch. I think the Knicks are prolonged stretch the Knicks will have faced this season in terms of like 2.5 weeks. Right, Indiana, Philly back to back, and then Miami, Minnesota, Cleveland, Atlanta. Pelicans are playing better, and obviously the Spurs. So, not to say the Knicks are going to lose any of these games, but I do think it's going to test the Knicks in terms of the schedule's been quite soft recently with Charlotte, Utah, Orlando coming into this stretch. I expect us to beat Indiana and Philly, but the Miami, Minnesota, Cleveland, Atlanta, Pelicans, Spurs, I think that's going to be a tougher stretch for our Knicks. How do you guys see it? User says perimeter D still needs that improvement. Yep, 100%. Interior D, perimeter D. But you know what? I appreciate that we're just fully bought in on our identity now. We're locked in on just being a fast-paced offensive team, and I guess that's the best way to cover up your defensive weakness. I think playing in a slow half-court grind and still being a weak defensive team ain't going to help you out. But if we can fully tap in to just outscoring the opponents, that could give us the best chance. That could just give us that best chance at winning, with the talent that we have. I know it's not the Knicks we're used to, or it's not the Knicks that we're accustomed to watching as we saw this team in the 90s and we grew up. But obviously the 80s, had the bomb squad as well. But the 90s team, with Ewing, Starks, Oakley, Mace, 79, 81, grind you down, rebounding, which we still can. We can play that way with Mitchell Robinson and, if we want to go double bigs. But I think the fact that, we're low on size on the backcourt, playing fast is best to our strength, I think, and getting up and down. Let's see how it works against OKC. I think we're past the test against Orlando, and we've passed the test against some of the other physical teams, but Oklahoma, Detroit, San Antonio, the Houston Rockets are going to be a great test. Funnily, I'm not worried about the Denver Nuggets. I'm really not worried about them because the Knicks have swept the Denver Nuggets for the last 2 seasons, right? And the Knicks are having success over Minnesota as well. Now, I see some Minnesota fans talking about Cat. They would welcome Cat back, talking about the Dante DiVincenzo report, right? But in regards to that, right, I do think that there's no chance in hell that they get Cat back, right? Cat's going to go in a Giannis trade or nothing, right? Unless it's, Giannis or a larger trade and we're getting back Anthony Davis or something else, right? I can't see Cat going to Minnesota again, right? I I think it's going in this Giannis. He's going in the Giannis trade, if at all. Now, we're going to talk about that now because there's been some more news come out. Obviously, the Knicks are still linked heavily if Giannis does get traded. But where it sits right now, guys, is officially he hasn't asked the Milwaukee Bucks to get traded yet. Now, is him, the Knicks, and his agent and camp, on the same page about just waiting it out? I mentioned not forcing the issue. Let the Knicks cook. Let the Knicks cook for this season, and next season the Bucks will have less leverage with just one more season to play, right? And he could find his way to the New York Knicks a lot easier. Right now, if he hasn't asked to be traded, the Bucks ain't going to trade him, right? So that's good news for us this season, because if Miami can't get him or Atlanta can't get him, that obviously favors us, man. The Knicks, not having to compete against another demon too. Michael Drake, though, says, bring back Dante. Bring Dante home, Leon Rose. If he could get Dante, man, it'd definitely have to be a Clarkson and Yabu. Clarkson, Yabu, and another young player. And would have some depth to fill out. But if Yabu ain't going to play much, Clarkson is replaceable if you bring in Dante. Definitely. Michael also says CT 2 games behind the number 1 seed. Right. I'm definitely paying close attention to that. The number 1 seed would be great for the playoffs. But next game up, man, I want to win this chip. Right. I want to win this NBA chip. And obviously Jalen Brunson wants to win it too. Right. Is he going to win possibly one of the first major trophies of his career, NBA career? Right. Don't forget, there's a final MVP for the NBA Cup situation as well. We know Brunson, the competitor, he's going to try to, play his best game on the bigger stage against SGA and say, hey, Oklahoma, I'm going to give you something to think about, right? It ain't championship, a breeze for OKC. Someone in the East will stand in your way, and hopefully it's going to be us, right? Jalen Brunson always saves his biggest game for the biggest moments, fam. He's born to play knockout basketball, as they say, winning 2 chips with Villanova. New York City Grey Salute says, if the Knicks wait, Giannis ages. I'm not sure an older injured athlete without a dependable jump shot is worth the assets that we'll have to give up to get him. It's a fair question to ponder, I'm not worried about Giannis's durability as much. I mean, it is a concern. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm kind of looking at it like you got to look at his situation with the Bucks, and he's always been forced to play like, basically carry them on his back. If Giannis comes to the Knicks, I think, the help around him would obviously, I think, help him. You got Mikal Bridges, who's the most durable player in the NBA. You got Brunson, who's very durable and able to handle the basketball. For the Milwaukee Bucks, he does a lot of handling, creating, and everything for that matter. And I do think that would help Giannis out a lot if he were to come. But yeah, the waiting kind of thing is what it is, because I just don't think the Bucks are gonna sign off on a package without some more picks. And on that note, yeah, New York City says, get Giannis now, no time like the present. Buzzer Beater says, CT, I want my initials on the NBA Cup. Let's go. Buzzer Beater. We mean business, right? This could be the first of 4 banners, like I said. It does look like we're more than likely to win the division, right? Unless the Boston Celtics can get on a crazy run. We're going to beat Philadelphia. We're going to beat the Raptors, and we're going to beat the Brooklyn Nets. So there's a chance we win our division, which is probably the smallest of the banners, in my opinion. And then obviously the East, NBA Cup, the big dance, fam. But right now we're going to the Vegas dance first and foremost. You know what they say, guys? You got to walk before you can crawl. So you got to crawl before you can walk, fam. You got to walk before you can run. You got to run before you can sprint, fam. And you got to sprint before you can fly, ladies and gentlemen. So, we take things trophy by trophy, game at a time. And hopefully, this will obviously open the eyes of the NBA free agents alike, right? If the Knicks are battling OKC in the Vegas final and we're pushing them, that just makes us more sexy, more attractive as that future destination, right? For any buyout dude, for any future free agent, for any agents of other players coming up. The Knicks are they're elite right now. They're up the top 2, 3, 4 teams in the NBA right now, fam. Right, there's 30 teams. Our New York Knicks are at the very top right now, and it feels good to say that. It's been so many years, decades. We've been languishing right now, worried about the draft and the lottery coming up. We're still talking about trades. Now that I don't know if that'll ever change. We're still looking to make upgrades and making some trades, but it ain't really talking about the need of those blockbuster trades like we used to talk about right now. Right now, Knicks fans, you got them turning down Anthony Davis. You got some Knicks fans turning down Giannis. That's progress over the years, fam. 4, 5, 6 years ago, maybe not 4 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, Knicks fans would have been like, man, can we trade for Kyle Kuzma? Could we trade for DeMar DeRozan? Could we trade for DeJounte Murray? Right now, you got fans turning down Giannis. Dude, that's progress right now with how this team has been built. But look, in terms of Mikal Bridges and that trade, I don't really hear anyone talking about the draft picks right now. Right. I know that Brooklyn terrible account, Frequent Nets, and the other Brooklyn account, all they talk about is, man, the Knicks 32 pick or 31 pick. Right now, the Knicks are going to be elite for a long time. Right, those picks that Brooklyn are going to get, they're going to be late first rounders. Right, they might even be, at the very end of the first round, the 29th, the 28th, 29th, 30th pick. Fam, let them have those picks. Right, they think they're salivating over those draft picks right now. I'll still take Mikal Bridges over any pick in the 29, 20, 26, 25, all of that. Now, if we go all the way to 2031, 2031 is the final pick, I believe. Right, that is, what, 4 or 5 years from now? Okay, Brunson ain't 30 yet, or Brunson's 30. So, worst case scenario, a healthy Brunson, 34 years old. Look at the way Steph Curry's still playing. I don't think Jalen Brunson at 34 years old is really gonna, really gonna drop off, especially the way his game is. It ain't built on athleticism. As Michael says, man, OKC playing at a different breed. Let's take a look right now. Man, they were blowing out the Phoenix Suns they won that by 30, right? And they're up by 50, I think, at one point. But right now, the Thunder at 14-4, leading the Spurs by 10, right? By 8 now with 7 to play in the first quarter. So I do think, it's going to be OKC. Michael says we're going to have to play a perfect game to win. We are. We're going to have to learn just to play Knicks basketball, be disciplined, read the scouting report. I'm a big believer in that, scout. There's a weakness with every team. If you can't find a weakness with a team, you ain't working hard enough, fam. Learn that scouting report. There's someone on that team that's the worst shooter, and you got to pinpoint the worst shooter and key in on everyone else. Play the percentages, fam. Play the percentages. Always make the worst shooter take the shots. Lock in on everyone else. Read that scouting report. If they're slow in transition, try to push the brake, right? If they're great in transition, slow it down, limit the turnovers, right? Work it around, get good shots, get them into foul trouble, try to get one of their best defenders off the floor. You know, where there's a will, there's a way, ladies and gentlemen, right? If they want to play super aggressive defense, then go at them, make them call the fouls. Right? Make them call those fouls. I think one of the great things the Knicks have done against Orlando, they've gone at Jalen Suggs. And Jalen Suggs has also been a little ill-disciplined. Because look, he loves to play physical, but almost every game he's picked up early 2 fouls. And that's got him off the floor right there. Now, one of the positive things about Mitch playing limited minutes is foul trouble ain't really an issue no more with Mitch. As you see, he's able to play super aggressive in this one, man. Anthony Black thought he had an open layup. Look at his reaction, man. It's killing me. Black's like, what the heck happened? Michael Drake, hold MSG South down, says Buzzer Beater. 100%. Michael Drake says CT, said if we let Shea play his game, keep everyone else down. Yep. You said it, fam. That's my game plan. Right, that's Coach CT giving you my best, pathway to beating the OKC Thunder, fam, because they're so dangerous as a team. Their chemistry is excellent. They remind me of the Knicks 72-73 team. And the Knicks team, championship teams, right? They didn't have they had Clyde, obviously they had some, scorers, but they were sharing and caring, right? They were more dangerous as a team. And I think that's what Oklahoma are going to do, right? Right. If you want to, try to double Shea and get worried about him, he's just going to open it up for everyone else to get loose. So my plan is to shut down everyone else and let Shea dominate the basketball, get everyone else out of rhythm. At the very least, you can just stick around and match them scoring for scoring. Right. Once OKC can get the ball moving, get out in transition, and get everyone going, I think it's going to be tougher to overcome, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm trying to let Shea dominate the basketball, fam. He does take a lot of step backs, a lot of tough mid-range shots. Let him get into a personal battle with Jalen Brunson. And hopefully he can slow everyone else down. London says, High Heart is back. That's great for the finals. I forgot about I Heart too. I saw the graphic with Mitchie and I Heart too reconnecting in Vegas. So maybe we'll see those two go at it head to head. But look, obviously Brunson and Cat, the head of the snake, right, on both sides. And if we're getting this version of Karl Anthony Towns, it's a major plus in the Knicks' favor, right? No turnovers tonight, right? So upgraded Cat's grade to a savage performance, 9 of 11, 81% from the field, right? He's not jacking threes like he used to earlier in the season, just 2 of 4 from downtown. 9 of 10, got to the free throw line more than any player. 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 29 points on a plus 12. This is one of Cat's, more cleanest performances on both sides since he's been a Knick, and got the big block as well, with just 3 personal fouls and 0 turnovers. If we get this version of Cat, we have a shot. Buzzer says, CT, we've had the Shock Troops, Bomb Squad, and the Bench Mob. Does this team have a nickname? Great question, man. I'll throw mine into the ring, fam. New York City Flash. I think that's what we're playing right now, fam. We're flashy because obviously, New Yorkers, we love the grit. but we love the drip, right? And we're quick. This team's super quick now, right? So I'm giving us the New York City Flash. 132 points, man. That's almost double the 90s Knicks in scoring. Man, those former Knicks would hardly recognize each other. Now, let's do this fun exercise, fam. A lot of people talk about, okay, what players on the current Knicks could play in the 90s or could play as a throwback with the physicality. Well, let me ask y'all, which of those former Knicks would thrive in this fast-paced new age game? Right. I think John Starks, man, would love. John Starks would wow out playing with this fast-paced team, fam. He'd be shooting 18 threes. I'll tell you who else. Latrell Sprewell. Latrell Sprewell on this team today would have put up 40, fam. He would have been a blur in transition, would Latrell Sprewell. I know it's not going too far back, but obviously in the 90s, Latrell had the physicality and he could play, fast, super fast as well. I do think Allen Houston would love it too, fam. Mark Jacks, I like it. New York City says Starks, Mark Jacks, Rod Strickland, to 100%. H2O would love it. Jamal Crawford, obviously too, offensively. He would win 6-man, right? There's no one in the league coming off the bench that would win the 6-man over Jamal if he was coming off the Knicks bench, even in his later prime. Man, to heck, Clyde, right? Peak prime Clyde, man, was an athlete. He would thrive in this game today, man. He would have been triple-double, I think, with Clyde. Fam, he would have got plenty of stocks, and got out and run. Buzzerbeater says Johnny Newman. I like that. Johnny Newman, I like that one too. Now, obviously, yeah, it's a fun exercise because our identity has changed, man. We're seeing a new era of New York Knicks. Now, obviously, coming out in the league, it just goes to show how much Jalen Brunson is adapted, right? A lot of people felt that he was tailor-made for the Tibbs system and that he would struggle. I even heard some bad takes pre-season that, oh, look, this Mike Brown thing, it ain't going to work, a lot of doubters, actually. A lot of people saying the Mike Brown thing, man, it ain't going to work with Jalen Brunson. Right? He loves to pound the rock. He loves to play slow and all of that. Well, Jalen Brunson just making people look like fools because, he's taking his game to another level. Right? At the very least, he's the same Brunson from last season. He's taking his game to another level. 8 dimes, scoring 40 points for fun, getting up and down, finding teammates. He's still playing the entire first quarter, right? I'm not seeing too much of a minutes change from the Tibbs to Mike Brown thing. But the role Brunson is playing has changed. That's the biggest thing Mike Brown has helped with Jalen Brunson, fam. He's got Brunson off the ball more so that when he's in the game, so it ain't about resting Brunson on the bench. It's making sure he's still in the game, but he's resting more while he's in the game, if you know what I mean. So that's smart. That's intelligent, right? And also not Brunson-centric domination of the basketball, right? So you could have Brunson off the ball. He's still a threat out there as well, cutting. And I do think, obviously, Mike Brown has taken a lot of that Steph Curry sort of, exercise that from Golden State as the assistant coach. I mean, we saw a lot of bad takes in relation to negativity about the Mike Brown hire. And now that you got to look at it like, it makes more sense even more now. Because the guy coached Kobe, the guy coached LeBron, the guy's coached Steph Curry. I mean, we're kind of blessed to have a coach, a Knicks head coach that's been able to coach that many legends of the game. You know what I mean? I mean, How could we have turned it? How could anyone have turned their nose up at someone who's come in and had that knowledge of coaching LeBron, Kobe, and Steph? You know, we hadn't really had coaches that had the privilege of coaching those kind of Hall of Famers since obviously Larry Brown. That didn't work out very well. Phil Jackson didn't want to coach the Knicks. Ladies and gentlemen, Thibodeau never had the pleasure of coaching, that many Hall of Famers. We go back, we had Derek Fisher, we had Fizdale, we had Hornacek. I mean, it was an absolute ish show based on some of the more recent head coaches in Knicks history compared to what we're getting right now. And look, let's not even forget about the coaching search. The Knicks got clowned for left, right, and center with the coaching search, and people scratching their heads, But look, it's paid out, the patience of the Knicks, because obviously they took their time filling out the assistant coaching staff as well, right? Getting Chris Gent, Brendan O'Connor as well, the other guys, Ricardo Foyce, keeping some of the old guys around still has really helped us out too. Buzzerbeater says, yeah, clowns on parade. Oh, man, those former coaches. I mean, it just goes to show, man, what were we doing back then? Now that we have a stable front office, right? I mean, look at Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was at the root of most of the bad hires, but with Fisher, with Hornacek, and obviously Steve Mills wanted to get Fizdale in here as well. That was a buddy hire with that one. We got a guy that's experienced, a guy that's been around the block, won the championship as an assistant too. So that's helped us a lot. Now, let's take a score check quickly. We've got 29-20 OKC to end the first quarter. It's a 9-point ball game, right? So far, Chet, 5 points. SGA has 10 points, too. Wembanyama's not playing, it does look like. Okay, Wembanyama's still injured. Unless he's going to play a smaller role, but doesn't look like Wembanyama's active in this one, as OKC lead by 10 to end the first quarter. And I think the writing is on the wall, guys. I do think it's going to be SGA versus the JB show with that one. Kurt Rambis, man, how could I forget? Man, clown parade on that one. Yeah, that was crazy. Although Kurt Rambis was an interim, but yeah, the main coaching hires were crazy with that. But obviously, yeah, Steve Mills got let go. Dolan got out of the way and finally let Leon Rose do what he does best with this one, right? So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, man. NBA Cup, 11 games above 500, right? Just past the quarter waypoint, right? And we have a chance to, continue to make, more noise as the season goes along, right? There will be some moves. Trade deadline's going to start to heat up around the league, but the Knicks are leading the pack, right, with the Detroit Pistons out east. Let's see how we do in the big dance, the Vegas dance against Oklahoma. I think a team that is going to get through, and there's going to be a lot of talk. Is it an early finals preview, right? That is going to be the main talk among all the players, but we all know our players aren't going to get too far ahead, right? They're going to take it as a challenge, right? A crowd is going to be nice. Maybe some New Yorkers going to be more traveling over to Vegas for this game, right? On Tuesday, we get 2 days of hype to build up, right? And look, the most pleasing thing was just another win over the Magic, right? The season series is at 2-2. Dirty Dancer, what's up? Great to see you. I think, yeah, look, the final's going to be the final, but, lost in tonight is just another win over the Magic. And we didn't get a good Clarkson game, a great Cat game like Dirty Dancer says, but Yabusele's a 0, Clarkson was kind of a 0, but Kolek is really stepping up. No Deuce McBride, too. To win this game emphatically with no Deuce is huge. I talked about tonight, no turnovers from Cat, less fouls. I really think he's starting to really lock in, after hearing some of this trade talk. Huck Porty's shown that he belongs when he gets opportunities. Dink Pate could get called up at some point. Landry Shamet's going to return as well. I mean, we are definitely clicking. It's been a major upgrade on last season, I think, so far. It's still early. There's no guarantees in this game that we're going to supersede last season's Eastern Conference Finals, but as of right now, at this point in the season, it has been a major upgrade over what we saw last season. Last season we'd struggle to defeat, the Hornets sometimes, the Wizards. Now we're fully tapped in and we have an identity now. We have that identity. The Deuce situation, DiVincenzo, a lot of, fan favorites out here looking to make that return. I think Leon Rose is really going to try to get Dante back. But if he can get Dante and Alvarado back, and hopefully get another guy like Trey Lyles or someone with size, if we do let Yabusele go, it might just be a buyout guy. Michael says, screw that Magic, screw the Magic too. I think Detroit are going to be a much tougher opponent. And look, it's kind of ironic that we haven't faced the Pistons yet. We haven't faced OKC. We haven't faced the Rockets yet. We haven't even faced the Spurs yet. I believe, or I've lost track at the moment. Have we faced the Spurs once? I don't believe we've played the Spurs yet. But yeah, I think that outside of this NBA Cup final, man, the next big game is on Christmas Day against the Cavs. We obviously beat the Cavs earlier in the season. That's going to be real fun to see that one too. We just got to stay healthy, man. I think we're such a different team without OG. With OG, he changes a lot. 21 points tonight, goes under the radar too. Glenn Jones, salute in the building. I'm pumped. Can we do it? Absolutely we can, man. I've given y'all the blueprint. I think we let Shea just go crazy and we lock in on everyone else. I think we can't let their shooters and other guys start to get loose. I think they're going to get too comfortable, right? But yeah, I'm going to switch over and watch the Spurs to see how they look, trying to shut them down. It's been a great reaction. The Knicks headed to the Vegas dance as we advance past the Magic now, and we represent the East first and foremost. We are out of the East now, above the rest. And let's see how we go for the rest of the season, fam. Peace, health, happiness, and blessings. And we'll catch you, fam, as we build up to the Vegas final on Tuesday. Hopefully I can come on live on Monday night and we'll do a preview before that game, fam. But let's go Knicks.